brought to you by Josh Realtor, here to help educate current and future Las Vegas locals on selling and investing in real estate. You're probably asking yourself, educate. Yes, there's a surprising amount of adults that when it comes to real estate, don't know the right questions to ask, don't know where to start, and think they need a lot of cash to buy a house in Nevada, which simply isn't true. So Josh has decided to make it his responsibility to teach his clients what they need to know, and equally important, what they need to ask to help ensure making their home ownership dreams a true reality. So make sure you call or text Joshua LaFon today at 702-813-0533. This has been another paid advertisement from Joshua LaFon with Simply Vegas Real Estate. Make sure you give him a call, 702-813-0533.
You must be kicking yourself for not walking out when you could. Bad judgment. But don't you worry, son. It will all be over soon.
Anthony, give me a boy's name that starts with the letter H. Jose.
Bobby! It's me! Your daddy, Roberto!
Daddy? Occasionally, you may hear it pronounced as Joao. It depends.
Let's go! Rex Kwando!
Look at me now. How far we go back? Elementary, jump rope, hide and go seek, pity pat, red light, green light, red light, green light.
Hello? You play to win the game.
You are tuned in to Straight Bet Sports on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network.
Wednesday night, back at it behind the mic in the studio. I am your host, Jose V. You already know what it is. You are tuned in to Straight Bet Sports live here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. We greatly appreciate you guys joining us as you do every single Wednesday night. Got my co-host in the building rocking with me as he does every single Wednesday night. The homie Bradford in the building directly in front of me tonight. Quan59 behind the big boards as he is every single Wednesday night. And just pretty much here almost every night and every day, doing it for a lot more other shows than just myself. So if you guys haven't checked out the content, can't say it out tonight. The content on Gorilla Cross, please check it out. Download the app today, the Gorilla Cross app on all platforms. And what I mean by that, Google, Apple, and if not, social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We are live on all social media platforms. So we greatly appreciate being here and being live on this great Wednesday night. Weather's nice out there. UNLV is back. And what I mean by that, basketball, first night back. I was in attendance for the first half, dipped out, came back to the studio to do the show tonight. We got a lot to talk about tonight, though, Ian. Should be a fun conversation. No special guests, nothing like that, nothing crazy, just us chopping it up tonight. Hopefully we get Quan on the mic as well, because we got some stuff to talk about, which I know is going to ruffle some feathers, especially for some of you Raider fans. But, hey, at the end of the day, some of the things need to be said. Now, before we get into the show, before we get into everything that we're going to do tonight, let me go ahead and say thank you to our sponsor, Joshua LaFon with Simply Vegas Real Estate, for hooking us up and allowing us to be live on the air. And if you are watching, do me a favor. Drop that comment in the comment section. You know we're going to get to as many comments as we can. Call us up at 702-608-3259 if you want to chop it up with us directly on the line. And, of course, press the like, press the share. Let everyone know what it is you are enjoying tonight here live on Gorilla Cross Radio. And we greatly appreciate you. Big shout out to everyone chiming in as you do every single week. Primo Eddie, he's always the first one on there from California. He's always the first one to jump on. We see it right there, notification. So we appreciate you. But Ian, you ready, my man?
Absolutely. Let's get
you got
this,
your
man.
coffee tonight, so I know you're gonna be a little more
I'm well rested
talkative.
tonight.
You're well rested. So what's good, my man? What are we gonna get into tonight? What are we gonna talk about first? Wild week and just NFL. Lots going on in general. I know you got some things on your mind and some things that you wanted to let out. So what are we gonna talk about, my man?
So we got quite a bit this week. It's been an eventful week of sports. Obviously, Mike Mayock, he's been in the media a lot this week. A lot to do with Damon Arnett being cut, the whole issue with Ruggs. People are saying the 2020 draft was absolutely terrible, and they're right. There's two of the first-round picks that they picked. One of them was a reach. The other one was Ruggs. Both of them are cut in the last 2 weeks. You also got I think out of their entire draft, the only person that's actually starting is Brian Edwards, which is nuts. So, really bad draft 2020. However, personally, I think that you have to give him a little bit of leeway because 2019.
Don't give me that leeway, Craig. Keep going.
2019, it is very rare for a GM to hit on almost every pick. However, in 2019, Mayock did hit on almost every single pick he picked. 6 out of the 8 people are still on the current roster, and only one of them is a backup.
You talking about from what draft? From 2019?
From 2019.
Okay.
You got Crosby, Renfro, Jacobs, Farrell, Mullen, who injured his foot, so he's on the IR. But
they basically drafted Clemson.
Exactly.
They had a lot of Clemson players in that draft.
They did have a lot of Clemson players in that draft, but all of these guys are producing. I mean, Crosby is a candidate for, I don't think he'll win it, but he is a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year.
He's doing good.
So I think, and Renfro's easily one of their better wide receivers. I think you have to look at it as a whole. And overall, the 3 years that he has drafted, yes, 2020, absolute missed, absolutely terrible. However, even in 2021, while some people are saying Leatherwood, it was a reach, he is starting at the right guard, and he is actually doing pretty well. And their other picks are not doing that bad either. I mean, Morig is one already rising star at safety. So you have to look at it. Some people say Morig was a first-round pick and Leatherwood was a second-round pick, and they reached. Well, they made up for it by being able to pick Morig in the second. So I think in totality, you have to just take the whole of the 3 years that he drafted and say, hey, let's give him another year. Let's give him another head coach. You know, maybe Basaccio actually likes other players than Gruden did. And sometimes head coaches have a lot to do, especially guys that are NFL network analysts that have a lot of mock drafts, have a lot of different inputs in the draft process. I mean, Gruden was making a lot of points to Mayock. I mean, they were pretty much buddies. So you don't know how Mayock's going to draft with Vic versus Gruden. So I think you have to give him another year. Give him the benefit of the doubt. It was a terrible 2020 draft, but other than that, he's been pretty good as far as GMs go, as well as he brought in Yannick. I'm not going to butcher his last name here, but he brought in Yannick, who's been doing excellent at defensive end. And he also brought in Snead, who's been a backup, but he's been doing well as well.
So we're talking Las Vegas Raiders here tonight on the show to start off the show, but we're mostly talking Mike Mayock. Now, if you guys are listening, Ian just basically made his case on why he believes Mike Mayock should have one more year. I believe he should be gone. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think he's done. He should have never even got the job to begin with. Let's remember that. This guy has no NFL executive background experience at all. He was an NFL network analyst that gave you his opinions based off of statistics and things on the paper. Kind of like what we do here on the show. Does that make us general managers of teams? Probably not. So at the end of the day, we shouldn't even be in this situation talking about Mike Mayock. One, he shouldn't have got the job because of that. Two, the only reason he got the job, like Quan mentioned before the show, and everyone knows, is because of John Gruden.
Yeah.
John Gruden got him that job because if it didn't work out and they looked bad and they weren't winning and it was horrible and the draft picks didn't pan out, hey, we get rid of Mike. I wash my hands. He never had experience. Not a problem. We move on, right? It looks like it just didn't work out. It was an experience and it didn't happen. It was an experiment and it didn't happen. It didn't pan out the right way that they wanted it to. Now, look at this. 2020, Henry Ruggs going to jail. DeMont Arnett cut for being an idiot. Lynn Bowden never even played a snap for the Raiders.
Yeah, that was bad.
Brian Edwards, where are you? Because last week you had no catches. The guy didn't step up whatsoever. Why do I know that? Because I picked him up in fantasy. Thank God I benched him, but I picked him up because I needed extra guys, right?
Yeah.
The guy is nowhere to be found. First of all, the guy's what, like 6'3" or whatever? I mean, the guy's a monster size-wise when it comes to a receiver. You should be doing a lot more. I don't know why Derek Carr isn't throwing him the ball more. I don't know what's going on there. They just signed Deshaun Jackson. I talked about that last week. I thought it was either Deshaun or OBJ, which I think Deshaun's the better signing because he's not going to come with all of that baggage.
He fits their scheme better anyways.
Correct.
So.
And not only that, he'll be a media circus guy, but it won't be as bad as Odell Beckham Jr. You see what I'm saying? When you have look at everything that's going on in Cleveland now with Odell not even being there. Everyone's saying, Dan Orlovsky saying, oh, the reason he's, Baker's better without you, this and that. Now, I agree. I think Baker Mayfield played better without Odell Beckham.
He's more confident
and if you look at the film, if you look at the tape from last year, he played better when Odell Beckham went down. Now, going back to the Raiders, Mike Mayock does not know what he's doing. Quan mentioned it earlier. He was told about character issues with Damon Arnett, but didn't care and bypassed him. This is a guy that has no experience. A guy that had experience would dig in deeper, dive in deeper, look more into, okay, should I really draft this kid? What else do I have to ask? What other questions? What other avenues do I have to go around to find out if I can pick up any more dirt? You're investing a high draft pick in this kid, which, again, going to Quan's point, a lot of people said he should not have been a first round draft pick.
But like you said, doesn't that come with experience? And that was only his second year.
Correct.
And like I said, one of the things is you can't knock someone for not having experience in that area when the only way to get experience in that area is to.
But I can, and here's why. When we have issues where black coaches aren't being interviewed enough to get head coaching jobs that they deserve, a la Eric Bieniemy, which I think should have had a job long time ago, right?
He definitely
and not only that, the Rooney Rule is a joke if we're being serious here. The Rooney Rule is an absolute joke.
It is.
They're talking about changing it or upping the Rooney Rule. Get the hell out of here. The Rooney Rule is a complete joke. Let's be real. When Mike Mayock got hired, the reason that I continue to say this is because there was a lot of other people that were experienced that should have got that job. And it's not about race at that point. I know other people like Stephen A. on ESPN talk about, it's about the color of the skin. To me, it's not. I don't think he got hired because he's white. He got hired because he had a buddy that was a head coach of an NFL team.
But isn't that how you get any job? I mean,
correct,
to be honest, isn't networking
but it's not
the way that we get jobs? There's a lot of times where someone gets passed up for someone that has more experience, or doesn't have more experience.
This is a guy that could make it work.
It's those connections that you have. John Gruden, heck, let's talk about that. John Gruden didn't deserve a $100 million 10-year contract either.
Yeah,
he won a Super Bowl with a really good team.
True.
But other than that, he wasn't really. Did he even have a winning record at that point? No, he didn't have a winning record, and you paid this guy like he's a superstar head coach. And what did you expect? He hadn't even been a coach for almost 10 years.
But he's won a championship. He's got experience. Mike Mayock doesn't. I understand that you have to gain experience somehow, some way. But you don't go from NFL analyst to general manager. Get him in the maybe player personnel type of thing. You start him somewhere. You don't give a guy that has no experience that kind of power when there's people that deserve those type of jobs, bro. Think about it.
I agree with you.
Okay, I'll put it to you this way. It's like me when I was 19 trying to get a job working cell phones. And everyone kept telling me, you don't have experience, so we got to hire. How am I supposed to gain that experience if you don't give me that experience?
Well, exactly.
Exactly. But there's ways of gaining that experience. They're not going to hire me and make me a lead retail analyst and have people below me and have to manage them, right? Because I've never done that before, or they've never seen me do that before. So why would you give someone like Mike Mayock a general manager job when he's never had to draft players? And again, before you speak, go look up his 5 years before him going to the Raiders. If any team would have listened to them, every single team would have been in shambles right now, having issues with the draft picks, or players wouldn't even be on these teams anymore.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
His mocks were bad, but at the same
time, they were horrible. They were horrible.
But nobody really gives credence to mocks because everyone makes mocks. They make 3, 4, 5 different mocks a season usually. So nobody really pays attention to mocks, but you could say that sorry, you could
don't space out on me there.
you could say that he had some type of front office experience in a sense of that he had experience as an NFL analyst.
Gotcha. So look, man, we got a phone call. We got a caller on the line tonight. I kind of have a feeling I already know who it's gonna be, because normally it's the same person that likes to call when we're getting a little heated on a conversation. But let's see who it is. Caller, state your name and where you're calling from tonight.
We got to change it up to the NBA.
Kevin from Chicago. What up, Kev?
How's it going, Kev?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, I just want to talk about the Jokic situation. His suspension for a game. That seems to be the talk of the town for a little bit. Gotta say, I'm glad Jokic did what he did. He just seems to always get pushed around, always get scratched, clawed, bumped, knee to knee, and he finally put his foot down and laid down the law. And I think that's what he needed to do, to send a message, because he's the MVP now, and he needs to be getting MVP calls just like anybody else. And he was dominating that game. Morris came into the cheap shot, and the Miami Heat fan base, the most delusional fan base in all of sports. They all think Rough Riders. They're all tough guys, Rough Riders. You don't mess with Heat Nation, Heat culture. Bunch of clowns. Jokic went in there and punked him and all the clown fan base. And they said, wait until November 29th. We're going to get them back. They ain't going to do shit. And then Jimmy Butler came in. He started chirping, hold me back, hold me back. Well, everybody's already broken up. It's just typical fronting, fake tough guy routine. What you guys thought?
So I agree with Kevin. I'm okay with what Jokic did, because if you look at the play in general, Morris came after him first. Whether it wasn't as bad what he did, I mean, it's the heat of the moment, man. I've never played professional sports, but I've played sports growing up. I've done stuff like that. If someone comes at you, you go after them. And I agree. You were the MVP last year. You're the reigning MVP as we speak, right? You have to hold your ground. You have to let people know who you are. You're not just another superstar that is making a name. You already have that name. You've already made it. You're the MVP. Again, you also got to be careful, though, because you're a role model to kids. You're a role model to people out there watching you. But I didn't see it as retaliation. I didn't see it as anything too crazy. I was okay with it. If you were going to suspend someone, I think it should have been evenly, not just fines and suspensions, on one side and something on the other. What do you think?
I think both players were in the wrong here, obviously. I think Jokic usually handles this very well. And apparently, the problem is both players could seriously injure each other. So I think I agree with you, Jose, in the fact that it should have been equal.
Mm-hmm.
Both players should have. I don't know if suspension is necessary.
I would have just fined them.
But I would at least fine both of them, giving them a slap on the wrist. It happens all the time in the league. You see these type of calls get called for other players. So I get it. I get the frustration. However, I do think in this particular case, you need to put your foot down, but you also need to handle it better because, like you said, you are a role model for these kids, as well as you're almost the new face of the league right now.
Technically, yeah, if you're the MVP.
So you need to set an example, and sometimes that example is being the bigger man.
True. What else you got, Kevin, before we let you go, Brody?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm glad most of the takes, like Shaq, Barkley, Shannon Sharp, I said, oh, man, he was well within his right. He was protecting himself. I'm glad people are kind of sided with him. They understand why he did it. I think last year he might have said, that was a bad move. You could have hurt somebody, this and that. But now they're seeing he's getting the respect he deserves. And I think that's why they're coming at him like that, saying he was well within his right to protect himself. But I'll leave you guys to it. Next thing, my call.
Appreciate you, Kev. Have a great night, my man.
Thank you for chiming in.
Kevin from Chicago, man. He never disappoints. He may not call every Wednesday, but we know he's always listening.
It's
man.
Like 12 a.m.
And you see how he just jumped us away from Mike Mayock, which is fine. It's just fine. We were pretty much at the end of the whole Raider conversation anyways. But just to jump back on that topic real quick before we finish off on it, I think he's got to go. Quan, you say he's got to go too. Gonzo, deuces. Ian says give him one more year. I don't think he makes it past this year, but we'll see what happens. Raiders got a lot going on. I still think they're going to be okay. It's just hard mentally when you have all of that going on in your locker room behind closed doors.
It's like one thing after another. Just
think about it. We're just talking about it. We're not there. We're not in the locker room. We don't know the truth, the real on how it actually is, how these players are really feeling, man. So shout out to the Raiders. I know you guys got a lot going on right now. I don't blame the organization, and I don't blame Las Vegas. No. Let's throw that narrative out of there. For everyone that's out there in the media or just in general that's, it's Las Vegas. This is why Vegas can't have sports towns. Get the heck out of here with that. You're lucky I can't say bad words on this radio station because I would right about now. But that is the dumbest thing that anyone can bring up because Golden Knights haven't had any issues.
Nope.
WNBA hasn't had any issues. Nope. Even the smaller leagues, the Aviators, the Las Vegas Lights, we haven't heard any issues from them. So if they can figure it out and they can control, I'm not going to say control their players because that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
If they can help their players and keep them out of trouble, why haven't, they haven't been able to do it? It's a whole other scenario, different situations.
Absolutely.
So you can't blame the city of Las Vegas. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely not.
Now, let's just jump into the NBA because we obviously have it. But before we do that, let me read some of these out right here. Goose chimes in. Goose Thomas from Let the Ball Bounce. He says, so Paul Pierce should be in the front office since he was an analyst, with a bunch of laughing emoji faces. Miami fan base leaves the finals games before they end. Very true as well. And then my cousin chimes in and says, you guys have to remember the Morris brothers are the dirty players. They are pretty dirty.
Yeah.
I will say that. They are pretty dirty. And I told y'all about this dude before he got this job and mentioned the very point you just did, Jose. We're talking about Mike Mayock for sure. So interesting stuff, man.
Just touch on Mike Mayock
real quick.
You have to judge him by what he's done in the league, and other than 2020, other than 2020, his results are good.
Nothing.
Other than 2020, his results are good, and that's what you have to do.
That's 1 year out of 3. That's horrible. And those are 2 first-round picks. You're just wasting the whole 2020 first round. And they don't even exist in the league anymore. That's garbage. He's garbage. You got to go. Bye, Mike. And he'll probably be gone next week because Raiders lose somebody every week.
It's going to happen. Thank you, Quan. And think about this. 1 out of 3 years, and if you add the 5 previous to that with his mock drafts, the guy's 1 out of 7 in the last 8 years in drafts. Let's just be real. But let's move on. Enough Mike Mayock talk. Hopefully the guy won't be there next week. But what you got, man? What else we got? Because I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the Come on, man.
All right, so we got coaches on the hot seat.
That's what we're going to talk about.
All right, so we're going to kind of do this like we did the
quarterback
QB carousel. I'm going to give you a list of coaches.
If you want to chime in, Quan, you can do so as well.
If you think that they're going to be cut or fired, whatever.
Go for it.
All right, first we got Cliff Kingsbury. I know the Cardinals are going crazy, right? But the talk prior to this year was that Kingsbury was on the hot seat.
Correct.
Did he completely erase that narrative?
Hot seat is gone. 100%.
I agree with you. 100%.
If anything, we're talking extension, as crazy as that sounds. Just because of the way he's turned this team around so quickly.
Absolutely.
You got your number 1 draft pick, right? You got a guy that was going to be the quarterback you wanted to run your offense around because you weren't going to keep Josh Rosen. You know what I mean? And it's working for him. He's figured it out on defense. You know what I mean? Bringing in the right pieces, whether they're old school veterans or young guys. You got D-Hop that he brought in on the offensive ball.
That's
to give your quarterback
crazy success.
Exactly. To give your quarterback that type of guy, that type of pedigree on the outside is just amazing. Hot seat is completely frozen right now, in my opinion.
I agree. Urban Meyer, he's gone.
I mean, if you want my real take, you already know how I feel about Urban Meyer. I don't want him in the league, period. So, yes, I think he's gone, and he should be gone.
I think he should be gone. Absolutely. He won't be gone. They made such a big deal about hiring him that, unfortunately, I think they give him 1 more year. He handpicked Trevor Lawrence. They're going to link the two together for a little bit. I think they are going to give him 1 more year. Say that it's not necessarily his fault, even though I believe it is his fault. But I think he should be gone. He won't be, though, in my
here's the
opinion.
thing. Those 2 games that they won are going to help his case to not get fired.
Absolutely.
Quan, what you got? I know you grabbed the mic.
He wasn't getting fired. Anyways, that's Urban Meyer.
Exactly.
What are the Jags doing? Who do they have there? He's the face of the team, him and Trevor Lawrence. If he leaves, it's because he got a job somewhere else where he'll just bounce because that's what he does. But he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't care to fire a coach in Jacksonville. He's staying. He's fine. Don't worry.
Absolutely.
But
Don't worry.
if he's gone, it's because he goes and leaves. And
So you think it's on his own that he'll take off?
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that. He might go for USC or LSU. I doubt LSU would hire him, but
And I agree with Goose real quick on the whole Cliff Kingsbury thing. He said, I'm not sure why he was ever on the hot seat.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, you brought it up, hot seat, this and that. People talked about it. I didn't think it was really a hot seat. I think some eyes were on him, you know what I mean? But it wasn't like it was the end of the world that he was going to get fired.
Well, some people were saying that if they had another down year, like another year
Then
that
we
they
would
didn't
probably be
make the
talking hot
playoffs,
seat at
that
that
he was
point.
most likely going to get fired.
What you got?
David Coley. I've liked what he's kind of done a little bit. However, they've only won one game, and they've looked not good.
Who'd they play last week?
Average, but absolutely garbage since that one win. So I think.
Who did they play last week?
Texans played Miami. 17-9. 17-9.
Without Tua. Jacoby Brissett.
It was Taylor's first game back. He threw 3 picks.
So if we're going to talk about hot seats and opportunities and you got to give guys chances, this has to be one of the coaches that we're talking about, at least to give him next season, because of everything going around, the whole Deshaun Watson thing. You've had Tyrod Taylor. You've had Mills with the neck. You know what I mean? Like,
I think you have to give it to him just because also, if you remember, when they hired him, he was adamant about basically him being told that Deshaun Watson was his quarterback.
Gotcha.
So he even accepted the job under the prelude that he was going to have a all-star as his quarterback and not leftovers of the
when
league.
he took that job, the stuff was already happening with Deshaun Watson.
It was
not the lawsuit stuff.
Not
the
the
stuff
lawsuit.
about Deshaun wanting to leave. So Deshaun didn't want to play for him anyways. He made it clear. Now, granted, it was, I wasn't part of the front office conversation, which we all know now is probably BS because of what's going on. Maybe that's why he wanted to dip out and run out of town.
But you also got like Rodgers and Wilson, who also were disgruntled at the beginning of the offseason, and then they were able to fix those situations. So maybe he believed that Bell was going to be able to do that. So I
don't think he's on the hot seat, though. I think you give him another chance, another opportunity to finish out the season.
I think you
and start
have
next
to.
year.
I don't think he's going to last past the year because what I've seen, I don't think he's a great coach, but I think you have to give him one more year.
Once again, you're tuned into Straight Bet Sports live here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. I am Jose V. Bradford in front of me, Quan 59 behind the big board. Right now, we're doing a little bit of NFL head coach hot seat carousel here, giving you our thoughts on who we think is burning up, who might be on the way out, or whose job might be safe. What do you think? What else we got, Ian?
Nick Sirianni for the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's your guy. I'll let you go first on that one. I'll let you go first on that one.
I think you have to give him one more year. I don't think you have to give his defensive coordinator one more year or any of the defensive coaches one more year because I think their defense has been historically bad. I mean, they've allowed 5 quarterbacks this year to have over 80% completion rate, as well as a 75% completion rate as an average, which is set like on pace for the worst allowance of completion rate ever for any defense. So you have to get them out of there. But if we're just talking about Sirianni, I think you have to give him one more year, and I think you also have to give Hurts one more year because I think
Hurts.
I think those two are.
I know you have a lot to say about him.
I think Sirianni and Hurts are tied to the hip right now. I think
so. That's his guy, is what you're saying.
Right now, yes.
Okay.
Why? Because as Sirianni is figuring out the league, because this is his first head coaching job, you're also seeing improvement from Hurts in certain areas. Now, we'll see for the second half of the season. Hurts still needs to progress for them to keep him. But I think with Sirianni, you have to give him one more year.
So we got another call. It's good, man. 2 calls in one night.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling in. Caller, state your name and where you're calling from. What you want to talk about tonight?
Name's Chanel, calling from Sacramento, California.
Hey, how's it going, my man? Appreciate you calling in. What you want to talk about tonight?
You guys brought up talking about coaches and hot seats. My team, the San Francisco 49ers, you think Kyle Shanahan and also GM John Lynch should be in the hot seat this year?
So he's actually on our list that we were going to go talk about. So I absolutely think Kyle should be on the hot seat. I don't think he should be fired. I think he should be on the hot seat. I think Lynch might be on his way out. Now, I the reason why I say this is because, one, he's already brought you to the Super Bowl less than, 3 years ago? So he knows how to coach. We've seen him coach. They've been riddled with injuries the last 2 years. Just straight up riddled. So you have to put that into consideration. And not only that, he is keeping a lot of these games close with his play calling. I don't think that this is necessarily a bad year for him versus it's a bad year for the talent that he has currently. You also got to remember you're in a transition period between Jimmy G and Trey Lance. And even though Trey Lance has shown some flashes when he has played, he's still in the learning process, as well as Jimmy G is Jimmy G. And to me, he's actually the reason why you guys lost the Super Bowl. I think he should have been gone a little bit ago, but they're using him as a transition piece. So I think Lynch might be on the way out. However, because he just picked Trey Lance, they might keep him one more year to try to build around Trey Lance.
So I don't think they're both going to be gone. I think that Kyle Shanahan is definitely on the hot seat right now because it's starting to look like, is he really that guy? Is he really that coach? Because he's starting to decline. He hasn't gotten better since that Super Bowl that you're talking about.
Yeah.
The Niners have not been that team that we saw make it to the Super Bowl. I get the injuries. I get that.
But personnel, have they gotten better?
I don't think they have, and that's the problem. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that John Lynch necessarily is the problem there. I just don't. I don't believe in Kyle Shanahan as a head coach right now. I think he's a great coordinator. I think he's good with that, but I think he's living more off of his dad's name more than anything. But now, I'm not a Niner fan. I don't know if you want to chime in on this, Quan, because I know you
want
are.
to chime in.
What do you think?
I mean, he got his team to the Super Bowl 2 years ago when they were healthy. They haven't been healthy at all. They're missing a lot of players for the rest of the season. Kinlaw, I think, just had season-ending surgery. A lot of players are out for the season. A lot of other players have been out for games. Jimmy G's been out. Trey Lance was out. A lot of injuries 2 years in a row. Last year, the whole team was injured the whole year. Kittle just came back this week. He's not going anywhere. Lynch could be on the hot seat, but as far as Shanahan, there's no way he's on the hot seat because of all the injuries. You just can't do that because when he had a healthy team, you saw what he did. And we have a new defensive coordinator this year because Jose's, I don't want to call him a team, but the Jets, took our defensive coordinator, which I was upset about.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to adjust to that with a whole bunch of injuries, trying to figure out who's playing this week. So for that, there's no way Shanahan, I don't even think he's on the hot seat unless he does this next year with a healthy team.
So and one thing I will say, I don't think they're going to get rid of him. Again, we're just, giving our opinions on what we think. I don't think he's going to be gone. You know what I mean? Do I think he's on the hot seat and things aren't looking too well? Yes.
Do you think the way that he's handled Jimmy G, Trey Lance situation might be an indication of why he might be on the hot seat?
That could hurt him because it hasn't looked the greatest. No. You know what I mean? But it's yet to be seen. Here's the thing. Is he on the hot seat? Probably. You know what I mean? Will he get fired? Probably not, because you haven't given him the opportunity to work with Trey Lance fully yet, in my opinion, and to see what he can get out of that kid.
I highly doubt he's fired this year, though.
We still got the caller on the line. Anything else you want to talk about? Any other questions you got, my man?
Yeah, I also wanted to ask, with the personnel, isn't Kyle involved in, trading too? Because there's some questionable draft picks that he made that he traded up for some players that he reached when you could have got them in the later rounds.
He is involved in a lot of the player personnel, especially with because they traded. They trade. That's how they got the picks.
Yeah, they've traded quite a few times. They now have, or they traded with Miami to get up to Trey Lance. So I don't think that's a reach. I really like Trey Lance in the draft. I
don't like. I mean, again, I'm not a Niner fan. Obviously, Niner fans will have their opinion on that as well, but I don't think we saw enough from Trey Lance in college, if that makes sense. You see what I'm saying? I don't think we saw. What did he play? 1 full year? I think it was
1 full year. I think that's a fair assessment on him. However, if you look at the tape, at least for his freshman year, he didn't. Not only did he not throw a pick, but he didn't really make any bad decisions. And yes, that's easy in that conference, but it's still rare for a quarterback not to, especially a true freshman at that time, to not make really bad decisions. And he wasn't throwing into triple coverages. He wasn't doing any of that. He was just making really smart plays. So, and the talent is obviously there. He's 6'4". He has a cannon for an arm. So I think in terms of ceiling wise and what they had, because they had Jimmy G, I don't think it was a reach at all. That was who, when we were looking at the draft board and everything, I'm like, they better take Trey Lance here.
I think it works out this way. We know what's going on with the injuries this year. Quan's watching the Laker game, so it's okay. We know what's going on with the injuries this year, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
I think he's there next year.
Yeah.
Starts the season.
Yep.
If the injuries aren't there, but the issues are still there, then we're definitely talking hot seat at that point.
Absolutely.
Anything else you got for us, my man, before we let you go? We greatly appreciate you chiming in with us tonight as well, though.
Oh, and also with the draft picks, is it true? I really do think, I don't know about you guys, but I really do think Kyle wanted Mac Jones, and John Lynch was the one who wanted Trey Lance. I think he really got overruled, but I think he's throwing this hissy fit and just keeps playing Jimmy G and telling everybody Trey Lance is not ready. Do you guys agree?
It's funny you say that because I do agree with that.
I agree with that.
I think Mac Jones was more of a Kyle Shanahan guy.
I was going to say the thing. If you look at the quarterbacks that Kyle Shanahan necessarily has worked with in the past and has had monumental success with, you're looking at Matt Ryan, you're looking at Jimmy G, you're looking at these pocket quarterbacks that just make quick, smart decisions.
Your prototype, what is it? Prototypical quarterback, whatever they call it.
I wouldn't even call it prototypical because now I guess
pocket
the
QB, exactly.
Yeah, pocket QB because
pro-style quarterback. There we go.
Typical quarterback now would be like Trey Lance, 6'4", big arm, very athletic. So I think you're right. I think Mac Jones fits Kyle Shanahan a little bit better. However, I think Trey Lance fits that team better, and I think Trey Lance gives a higher percentage opportunity to win a Super Bowl than Jimmy G does.
There we go, man. We greatly appreciate you chiming in, my man. Keep tuning in, keep watching, keep giving us a call. Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for my call, guys. You have a good night.
You too. Thank you. That was awesome, man. Good stuff there. Good conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I agree. And let's see. Goose says Lynch should definitely be gone, basically.
Yeah.
So that's coming from a Niner fan there, man.
I mean, you have to wonder.
He said definitely be on the hot seat.
Oh, yeah, definitely be on the hot seat. Sorry. Gotcha.
You have to wonder because, like, you got Bosa, and I love Nick Bosa. Everyone loves Nick Bosa. But right before he got drafted, he had muscle core surgery. I mean, this is not necessarily a guy that is the epitome of health.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of look into that because they drafted him, 2 overall?
I mean, he was defensive rookie of the year, I believe.
He
killed it. Last year he was hurt. This year he's been healthy.
But since then he's had. I mean, he had.
He's still a good. He's still a legit.
He's had some health
pick.
issues though. But I don't know if at 2 overall you take him just because he hasn't been availability, and availability is the best ability. So
yeah, but they're missing 50% of their team. So that's...
I mean, yeah, nobody's available. So you have to. I get it. So we got 2 more real quick.
All right, let's go.
All right, so we got Brian Flores with Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, and Goose chimed in on that too. Bye.
Already
the Dolphins. Yeah,
gone. The way that he handled Tua Fitzpatrick last year, and now with Tua, absolutely, I think he has to go. I don't care how good defensively you are, but and even that. This year, the Miami defense is not the strength of the team, and it's, in fact, one of the major weaknesses of the team, and you're still not handling the Tua situation properly.
And not only that, I'll go back to this, and I harp on it, and I've said it before, and I sound like a broken record. I know it's one of the things I like to say, but you brought it up. Last year, Ryan Fitzpatrick, when he got benched, was the 3rd-rated passer in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you were going to win a Super Bowl with Ryan Fitzpatrick, but if you wanted to save your job, you should have kept him as your starting quarterback.
Absolutely. They were a playoff team if Fitzpatrick played the entire time.
And I'm not saying that Tua's not the guy. If you know me, I've been very critical of Tua. I never liked the pick. I never thought he was going to be an NFL quarterback. But in games that he's been healthy this season and he's played.
When is that?
He's looked good.
Yeah.
He's passing the ball good when he's protected and he's moving around. But again, you brought him in too early in his career last year.
Absolutely.
You jeopardized his future by doing so, in my opinion. He was not going to lose anything by sitting behind Ryan Fitzpatrick. The team was gelling. The team was playing good. I believe they were in first place when they benched him, which to me still makes no sense. So, yes, Brian Flores has to go.
Yeah, I mentioned this last night on Let the Ball Bounce, is Tua had a career-ending injury in college. He'll never be healthy.
Yeah.
He's not going to be healthy. That was a bad pick. And you're right, Fitzpatrick should have started all year. But, they went from tanking for Tua to tanking with Tua.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're garbage.
Definitely. Yeah. What's the last one you got here?
Last one, Matt Rule. I think he has to go.
What?
I think he has to go.
Bro, you're tripping.
I think he has to go.
Look, Sam Darnold is not the guy. I know that, and we've seen it. But let's be real. This team's demise have happened ever since Christian McCaffrey went down. Your best player has been down. Come on now.
I think he has to go.
I don't even think he's on the hot seat. I don't even think he's on the hot seat. As crazy as that sounds, I don't. Here's the thing. You as an owner of the Carolina Panthers, you know what you got when you brought in Matt Rule. You brought in a college quarterback that, if you saw the press conference, looked more like a hype show for freaking high school kids. But he's the guy right there right now. Christian McCaffrey's he's not been healthy, bro. He's been hurt. I'm not saying that the guy's going to win you anything. I'm not saying he's the greatest coach in the NFL. But I think it's too soon to say hot seat.
Fire Matt Rule. Make Brady the coach. Bam. Done.
Brady?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Joe Brady. Yeah.
Good little a hot seat coach conversation.
You can't tell me that's what makes that offense run.
We'll see. We'll see, man. But that was good stuff there, Ian. Good stuff, my man. Definitely. We're going to get into some NFL talk before the show, obviously, because we got to give our picks. But we got a whole lot more to get into.
Yes,
we got about 20 minutes left. Quan, if you could please put up one more graphic for me, let everybody know who our second sponsor is here as we do about midway show.
This is the last time I'm going to tell you. Don't tell me to put up the graphic. I know what I'm doing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I've been telling you that for a year and a half.
Sorry. But Quan, thank you so much. We appreciate it. You guys already know, second sponsor of the show, Eric Navarro of Line 'em Up by Eric. As you see tonight, I'm actually sporting the haircut. I did stop by the UNLV game tonight, so
Looks
I
fresh,
like to be
man.
professional. But yeah, hit him up, 702-884-8138. Line 'em Up by Eric on IG. He goes by appointments only. He gets busy quick. Holiday seasons are around the corner, man. We're already here. So if you want to get fresh, look right for Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it may be, make sure you hit up our boy Eric Navarro. Eric, we greatly appreciate you, my man. Definitely. And Quan, I promise I will not remind you to do that again because I don't want to get in trouble. But the one clip that I will ask, because we're going to talk Vegas Golden Knights briefly here.
Yep.
I was at the game last night. Big shout out to Garrett Calloway and the Vegas Golden Knights, media director over there. Greatly appreciate you allowing me to be back in the building and cover the team. Got to ask a few questions last night. Got to ask Pete DeBoer a question, Shea Theodore a question, and it went a little something like this, my guys.
Jose Volonte, Gorilla Cross Radio. Shea, you guys have had a lot of injuries to start the season. What have you learned about the rest of the guys on the team, and what have you seen from everybody else so far?
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of guys step up, and play key minutes for us. I think it just comes down to being a collective effort from everyone. Nobody has to do it by themselves, and I think when we play that way, we're going to be successful.
Jose and Amanda Jesse.
Jose Volonte, Gorilla Cross Radio. Pete, you have a lot of guys out. Obviously, that's been known. It's not hidden, but you have a lot of guys that are playing strong right now and coming up. What do you say to these guys that are doing what they're doing, and you guys are getting hot at the right time right now?
Yeah, you know what? You just want them to seize the opportunity because you don't know when they're going to get it again. So any of the young guys that have come up, we basically said, listen, you don't know when you're going to get another look like this or an opportunity like this. Hopefully we're healthy the rest of the year and we don't get in this spot. But while you have that chance, you got to make the most of it, and they've done a good job of that.
Fun match last night. Got to see the Seattle Kraken, the new expansion team. So it's always fun when you have the two most recent expansion teams going at it. Second time this year. First game of the season at T-Mobile was Seattle versus the Golden Knights, and the Golden Knights did come up with a victory there. Now, slow start for the Knights last night.
Yep.
First period, they just looked very sloppy completely on the defensive end. Offensive end, they just couldn't figure it out. A lot of sloppy passes, sloppy shots. Seattle looked very comfortable.
They're missing a lot of players, though, Golden Knights, right?
They are. And like you saw there when I asked Coach and I asked Shea, a lot of people are stepping up, though. I mean, last 8 games are 6-2, I believe, right? So they're getting hot right now. Didn't start the way that they wanted to. We talked about the fans and a couple shows back as well. Some of the fans, not showing up or leaving earlier than they normally do. Now, they got Minnesota coming in here tomorrow night. Minnesota's 9-3, good start in the season. What have you seen from the Golden Knights so far this season that you like and things that you think they got to work on?
So we talked about it a little bit a couple weeks ago. I really love the depth of this team. They have really good depth all across the board. They got better. It's going to be after the All-Star Jack Eichel is going. Eichel.
Remember?
Eichel,
Like
yeah,
Michael without the M.
Yeah, Michael without the M. Eichel. Jack Eichel is going to be coming back after the All-Star with after the neck surgery. So that should be a catalyst to propel us further. I think that they're learning as they're going, and they are actively getting better each and every game, even though they might not necessarily get the wins that they're looking for. As a collective unit, they're working together very well. And these tough games where they kind of start slow, but they end up, I mean, they won that game 4-2.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily concerned too much with them starting slow. This is a young team because it's, death, the death that they have and the injuries that they have had so far. So you have a lot of players that are stepping up into those roles. And the fact that they're 7-6 right now is fantastic because of all those injuries.
Yeah.
So once we start getting the players coming back, we get Jack Eichel back, then hopefully that will allow us to really start winning these games, especially the close ones.
I like what I'm seeing right now, and I like the struggles, and I like the fact that they have injuries, and I like the fact that they're having to go through all this because we're seeing hockey being played now.
Absolutely.
No offense. I love what they did the last 4 years, what they've been doing. They were always a good team. They were one of the favorites to win it all. They were the popular team. Record-wise, they were winning. They weren't going through these type of struggles. I'm glad that they're losing. And Golden Knights fans don't hate me for saying that. I'm glad that they're losing because it's showing that they are a complete hockey team. That it's not just about the big name guys that are out. It's not just about Max Pacioretty and everyone else. It's about playing as a cohesive unit, combined as one. Everyone from the rookie that just got signed, that got pulled up from the IHL league, to the guy that's been there for 10 years in the league and that is a vet. Everyone has to play together. And like Peter DeBoer said, some of these guys, they're playing because they don't know when they're going to get that opportunity again. Yep. They don't know when they're going to get called up to be in the big show, to be able to play. Some of these guys that are getting their opportunity, that I've got an opportunity to talk to and interview, they're like, I love being at T-Mobile Arena. It's like a playoff atmosphere every time. Yeah. That just shows you the type of passion that we do have here. And I hope the fans understand that and that they stick with this team. Losing is not bad. When you're losing all the time and you're not winning, yes, 100%. Like Quan said, I'm a Jets fan. I struggle all the time. But winning and losing the way the Knights are doing it now is good for the fan base because it's going to prove who's real and who's not, but it's also going to show what this team is truly all about.
Well, yeah, overcoming adversity is all what the playoffs are about. So the fact that we're doing this so early in the season, it's a long season. Everyone needs to remember that. Hockey is one of those ones that it's a long season. There's a lot of games in it. So just because they're barely over 500 now doesn't mean that they're not going to make the playoffs. It doesn't mean, in fact, I think the fact that we're doing this with the injuries that we have, that we're still over 500
it's only gonna make them better.
That you should be very optimistic about your playoff chances, because usually that means that going into playoff time, hopefully we'll be getting these players back, like I said previously, that will come playoff time, will be ready. And not only that, the whole unit will be collectively stronger because they've worked with the backups.
Yep.
So at that time, even though if we do have injuries, they'll have playing time all around the board, which usually means for a better team come playoff time.
Goose shouting out Malik Monk with the Lakers. Lakers up 119-114 in overtime against Miami. A minute 30 to go there. Quan's getting a little quiet because he's very zoomed into the game. I keep taking a quick little glance over there, but big shout out to the Golden Knights. Catch them tomorrow night, T-Mobile Arena, 7 p.m. puck drop as they play the Minnesota Wild. Hopefully they can make it 2 in a row after winning their last game at home. But once again, we greatly appreciate the Golden Knights and the organization for allowing us to cover the team. Quan, what you got? I know you grabbed the mic.
Neil said they gave up too much for Eichel. Trading Krebs means they traded for 4 first-round picks. That's fine. Trade those picks because Eichel is a future Hall of Famer. I mean, he's a type of game-changing player. They got him signed till 26. So I think they did not give up that much for him at all. They could have got a lot more for him.
Yep.
He won out. He won that surgery. They weren't going to let him do that in Buffalo. Yep. So they gave him away way cheaper than they should have got way more for him. So to say they gave up too much, it's a surgery that, it's going to take a while to come back from. But if he comes back healthy and normal with him, Pacioretty, and Stone, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be ridiculous.
I mean, he's pretty much been pretty healthy. So other than a few bumps and scrapes along the way, I think he should come back from this pretty well.
I think it was a good trade. I don't think they gave up a lot, to be honest with you. I think it's going to work out. And going back to Quan's point, you have a captain on this team already, and you're bringing in a captain from another team.
Yeah.
Enough said. That's it. Obviously, he hasn't played yet, so we can't really say if it was a good trade or not. We have to wait till that happens.
A little too
but
soon,
as of right now, on paper, I think it was a decent trade. I think Buffalo got enough for him back, knowing the situation. And I think the Golden Knights are going to be fine.
Both sides won that trade. I really do.
Definitely. Now, big shout out. Just going to go out there to UNLV. We're not going to talk much about the game, but UNLV Running Rebels were in action tonight. Thomas and Mack, they pulled off the W, 64-58. They did not cover. They were a 10-point favorite. I liked Gardner-Webb tonight to cover the 10 points. I didn't think they would win. I was in attendance tonight. Great fan turnout. Honestly, they didn't fill the Mac. They didn't pack the Mac. But for the first game of the season, for them to be playing Gardner-Webb and Kevin Kruger's first game of the season to have him on there, I mean, for that type of crowd, it was a decent crowd. I was talking to TC Martin, a couple other people. Big shout out Brian Salmon. I was sitting with him. We're talking about it, and we all agreed. It was a very decent crowd for game one, a little more than what we expected, which was pretty good. So, again, big shout out to UNLV. They do get the win 64-58 over Gardner-Webb. Next game will be on Saturday here. Like I said, big weekend for sports. They're playing here on Saturday against Cal. That should be a fun game to watch, so go ahead and check them out. 5 p.m. game on Saturday. Not only that, the Lady Rebels won their first game as well. Big shout out to Lindy LaRock, head coach. We've had her on the show. We were supposed to have her on the show tonight, but since the Rebels were in attendance and they were playing, she was at the game, so we're going to have her on again soon. We're going to have Kevin Kruger on the show again soon. I've already talked to Andy Grossman. Correct. We've had him on the show before. Great guy. Loves chopping it up. Loves talking sports, so we're definitely going to have him on again. Last shout out we're going to give to UNLV Sports before we get into our NFL picks of the week and then just breaking down a bit of the NFL action for the next couple minutes here. UNLV football got their first win of the season on the road at New Mexico, 31-17.
Big shout out to Chuck Williams.
Big shout out to Chuck Williams for breaking the all-time UNLV rushing record. He is now the king. And if you guys didn't hear it, go look it up. Steve Cofield posted it on his Twitter, the audio of him talking when they asked him about breaking the record. In short, I will quote him as well as I could. He basically says, "I'm happy, but I can't wait to see the next person come in and break my record." And they asked him why. He said, "Records are made to be broken. I want to set a bar where these kids can come in here and continue to create traditions and continue to create a culture to say, hey, I want to beat that guy. I want to be better than him. I want to have that crown." So that's good to hear from them. Big shout out to UNLV. Got that monkey off their back. Marcus Arroyo got the first win. It's not over, though. Still a lot of games left. Still a lot of football. You got Hawaii this weekend coming up. Early game, 1 o'clock at Allegiant Stadium. So, guys, if you're a fan, tickets are cheap. They got their first victory. They got it on the road. They're coming home. Show out this weekend if you got nothing to do, man. UNLV tickets are cheap, and you get to go hang out at a great stadium like Allegiant.
Yeah, beautiful stadium.
Go
if you haven't
support these
already been
kids,
there.
man. But once again, big shout out to UNLV Sports all the way around. 3 wins in the last week for 3 of their program parts here. It's amazing. Love it. Continue it. And I hope that UNLV basketball is back on the map the right way. And big shout out to Tyrone Nesby. Got to meet him personally tonight. He was at the game, sitting courtside. That was pretty cool. So big shout out to him as well, UNLV legend there. But Ian, we got about 7 minutes. Let's just get into our pick of the weeks. We already talked a little bit about football. We obviously wanted to talk about the Cowboys and checking on them boys. Y'all still them boys? I can talk. My Jets are horrible. I know you guys know. So if you want to throw that out there, cool. We suck. But really, to the Denver Broncos, you guys were a 9.5-point favorite.
I'm not going to talk yet.
Home.
I'm not going to talk yet. But if the Eagles beat the Broncos this week, I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk next week.
And here's the thing.
Just letting you know.
Not only did they lose, right? They got annihilated. You lost 30-16 at home to the Denver
let's just
Broncos.
be fair. That was not close.
You lost to
that was
Teddy
not close.
too.
That was
Teddy even
30
playing
to
that
like
game?
6 for most of that game.
Did Teddy even play in that game? Let's see.
Yeah. Teddy
you
played
lost to
amazing.
Teddy Two Gloves, 249 yards and a touchdown for Teddy Two Gloves.
Don't bash Teddy like that. I love Teddy, man.
Telling you, man. But
So it was actually a dog weekend. So let's go through that real quick. Jaguars beat the Bills, 16.5 point underdog by the Jaguars. I believe it was the biggest dog of the year to win outright so far.
You had Broncos.
You had the Rams, which were my pick of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Get annihilated at home, and everybody thought Derrick Henry's out. Tennessee's offense is done. I was one of those people. I was completely wrong. It flipped.
Oh, man. That was an ugly game.
What else?
You had Jags beating the Bills.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
You had
Falcons beat the Saints, and they were a dog.
That's my pick last week.
Browns beat the Bengals, and they were a dog.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the whole Cincinnati thing, the whole, what is it, Cleveland, Cincinnati, that whole rivalry. Yeah. Just,
Did
the Vikings almost beat the Ravens?
They covered, right?
Yeah, they covered, but almost beat the Ravens. Ravens at they were down with 17.
It is a very good week for
crazy
for plus.
And what's crazy is that the last couple weeks it's been favorites. And for the people that told me on Sunday, them boys gonna be all right. The Cowboys are 7-0 against the spread this week. 7-1 now this year. But we got 5 minutes in. Who you like this week? What's your pick of the week and why?
All right, I'm going on full cowboy hate mode this
week.
Full
cowboy hate mode.
Full
Love
cowboy
it.
hate
Love it.
Mode. You guys are going to probably win, but you're not going to cover against the Falcons. It's plus 9.5.
So you like the Falcons plus 9.5 on the road?
I like the Falcons. Yeah, that's my hot pick of the week.
So we'll let you know what we got here. So 56% of the money is actually on Atlanta. It's early, Wednesday, you know what I mean? So a lot of money could still trickle in on either side. 56% of the money is on Atlanta. 53% of the money line tickets are on Atlanta. And the over is 51%, so it's pretty even there. If you're an over better like myself, you know I love overs. 54.5. It's a huge number there after the Cowboys only scored 16. So you're basically telling me the Cowboys are going to be an offensive juggernaut this week. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
I still don't think Dak is 100%. That's why I'm going with Falcons.
So people are going to say I'm crazy, right? I normally don't bet.
You probably are.
I normally don't bet on or off my team. But this week I'm going to. And here's why. I think Buffalo, head-wise, is not going to be fully right going into this game after beating Jacksonville. I think they're going to win this game.
They lost to Jacksonville.
I'm sorry, correct. I think they're going to win this game, but I think they're going to go in trying to win for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. As crazy as that sounds, right?
They're going to want to blow them out and not just get the win.
And not only that, the New York Jets just had your second and third string quarterback have great games.
Speaking of which, is Mike Davis?
I was going to get to that.
Mike White.
Mike White started the game, throws 95 yards and a touchdown, looks really good, comes out, our third stringer comes in and throws for over 300 yards and almost brings him back to win the game.
Yeah, Johnson didn't look bad either.
Correct. Mike White the week before, leading passer in the NFL, 40-1 or 40,000-1, whatever the hell was the bet was, and he got it, right?
Yeah.
So I think with him starting this week, as crazy as it sounds, we're talking about a guy that wasn't even drafted to be the starter, and I'm getting excited about it. I think the way that they finished last week's game against the Colts.
So Mike White is starting.
White is starting. It's been announced already.
I like that line too. Then.
And the way that they finished against the Colts, I like the Jets this week. I don't think they're going to win. If they do, that'd be a crazy money line underdog. But I'm looking at 13 points right now as we speak. 56% of the money is on the Bills. 73% of the money line tickets. So people are jumping on the Jets as a big money line dog is on the Jets. 50-50 on the total there. 48.5. Jets totals have been tough this year to hit because they start off slow, so sometimes they don't score in the first half.
Is it game played in?
And that's the thing. It's played in New York.
Oh, it's in New York.
And I get it. It's also kind of a home game for Buffalo. Buffalo's an hour or whatever it is away from New York, from New Jersey. So I get that. But I like the Jets in this spot. The Jets are my pick of the week. I know I've only hit 2 or 3 this year. It sucks, but we're having fun. We're not pros at it. We're not charging you for this. We're just talking and giving you what we like. So again, Jets plus 13. Falcons plus 9.5. So we're taking some big pluses here this weekend. Ian, good stuff, man. Fun show. I want to give a big shout out to Dwayne Colucci, Michael Colucci as well. His pops, we were hanging out last night at the Vegas Golden Knights game. I get to see them every time I go out there. Dwayne, I'm putting you on the spot, my man. Your house, original Italian food. We talked about it. I'm there. The wife is there. We're going to make it happen. But Bradford, any final thoughts you got, my man?
Speaking of Dwayne, make sure you follow him. His lines are usually out before almost anyone else.
Yeah, you've been doing it. Huh? You've been following him.
He posts his lines on Twitter almost religiously, very quickly. So if you're not following him, make sure you go and check him out and follow him.
Not only that, man, big shout out to the homie Frank Greco, my New York Jets brother. He chimes in and says, Mike White, with exclamation points. So,
man,
should be fun there.
How do you, real quick, how do you feel about that?
Like here's the thing. If this kid continues to play the way he's been playing and he looks good and the team looks good for the rest of the season and Zach Wilson doesn't play, bye-bye, Zach.
Really?
I know it's not going to happen because they're not going to get rid of
a guy that got drafted that quick, or
it's not going to happen because he's too high of a draft pick. But it is what it is, man. But we've run out of time. Yeah. So, time flies when you're having fun, man. Really sometimes it's not an hour is not even enough. If you guys are on Twitter though, man, chime in tomorrow. We might be doing some spaces, talk some more things that we couldn't talk about, give you a couple more thoughts and process things and opinions and. Ruffle some feathers and get some people angry.
Maybe talk a little bit about OBJ landing spots, some little things here and there, MVP odds, stuff like that.
We'll see what happens. But next week we will be talking MVP odds. I know we wanted to get into that today, but we didn't. But it's okay. One more week wouldn't hurt. And you got any final? That's it? You're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
So
Great show.
My final thought again. How is Alabama and Ohio State ahead of Cincinnati? The college football playoff rankings are a joke.
They are.
Bearcats fans, I feel for you. Till then, I am Jose V for Bradford, Quan59. This has been another episode of Straight Bet Sports. Till next week on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network, we are out. Peace.
Peace.